I didn't think I would survive. I didn't think I'd smile again. I was a woman from Ukraine, 32 years old, with nothing but a backpack, a broken heart, and a one-way ticket out of hell. I didn't come to the Philippines looking for love. I came running from war. But what I found was more than just safety. I found family. I found healing. And I found him. I used to live in Kharkiv, a bright, bustling city. I was a fashion photographer living alone in a small apartment with pale yellow walls and framed memories. Then the war came. I watched buildings collapse that I used to pass every morning. The bakery across the street was reduced to ash. My parents had already passed. My younger brother, he never came back from the front lines. I still remember the morning I left the train station was chaos. Mothers clutching babies, men crying quietly into their sleeves, and soldiers barking orders. I had two choices: stay and die, or leave and start over. I chose to leave. My hands trembled as I searched flights. Poland? Full. Germany? Too expensive. But then I saw a cheap ticket to a place I never thought about. Manila, Philippines. Somewhere warm, somewhere far. I booked it. One way. It was hot, humid, sticky. When I stepped out of the airport in Manila, I almost cried. Not because I was sad, but because I was free. No bombs, no sirens, just chaos, but the beautiful kind. Jeepneys, kids laughing, stray dogs, the smell of grilled chicken. My savings were barely enough for 1 month. I found a small guest house in Makati. The owner Mila took one look at me, saw my broken soul, and said, "You stay, pay later, eat now." That was my first Filipino hug. It smelled like garlic rice and hope. Starting over sounds romantic, until you actually have to do it. I didn't speak Tagalog. I didn't know anyone. And I was a white woman in a country that stared at me wherever I went. Sometimes in curiosity, sometimes in something else. But mostly, people were kind. I taught myself to say Magandang Umaga and Salamat. I started taking photos again, this time, of kids playing on the street, sari-sari stores, sunsets over Manila Bay. I posted them on Instagram. One day, I got a message from a small modeling agency asking if I could help with photography. It wasn't much, but it was something. One day, while shooting in Intramuros, I met a man. He was tall, dark, with a sun-worn face and gentle eyes. He sold coffee from a mobile cart. He offered me a cup, and I said no. Then he said, "You look like you've seen a lot. You should rest a bit." So I did. His name was Mateo. He never asked where I came from. He never asked why I looked so tired. He just made coffee and listened. I started coming every Thursday, then every Tuesday, then every day. Mateo invited me to his hometown in Baikal during Holy Week. It was the first time I saw rice fields, the first time I saw children run barefoot and laugh like they've never known sadness. I slept in a nipa hut. I bathed in a river. I helped his mother cook adobo, and I realized I hadn't cried into weeks. There, in a place without Wi-Fi, without malls, without war, I found something deeper than safety. I found peace. I started dressing like them, long sleeves to block the sun, slippers everywhere. I learned to ride jeepneys. I ate balut and almost vomited. I learned that Filipinos laugh in the face of hardship, that karaoke is a national therapy, that poverty is real, but so is generosity. A child once gave me their only lollipop because I looked sad. A tricycle driver once gave me a free ride just because I reminded him of his daughter. Mateo never kissed me until one rainy afternoon. We had just helped deliver relief goods to flood victims. We were soaked, shivering. He looked at me and whispered, "You don't have to run anymore." And then he kissed me. Not like a movie, not dramatic, but slow, certain, gentle. We didn't need to say "I love you." The Philippines had taught me something better. Actions speak louder, but healing is not linear. One day, I got an email. The apartment in Kharkiv was gone, and a cousin messaged me. My ex-husband had died in combat. Suddenly, I was pulled back. I sat on a rock in El Nido, staring at the sea, and I screamed. I screamed for everything I had lost. And then, Mateo sat beside me, didn't speak, he just held my hand. Sometimes that's all you need. I started teaching photography to high school kids. I worked with local NGOs to document climate disasters. I told stories, real stories, and people listened. One day, a senator saw my work. He offered me a project to showcase resilience in the Filipino spirit. I cried that night, not because I missed Ukraine, but because I had finally made something new out of the ashes. I'm not just a refugee. I'm not just a foreigner. I'm someone who was reborn in a country I never planned to visit, on an island I can't pronounce properly, with a man who never looked at my body, only my soul. I found a second life. And if you're watching this, whether you're lost, broken, or running, know this. Sometimes, the place you escaped to is where you were meant to be all along. I was no longer the Ukrainian woman. I was simply Anna to the people in my barangay. Tita Anna, 8 Anna, sometimes even ma'am photographer. I joined a local feeding program. I taught street kids how to hold a camera, how to tell stories through photos. They didn't speak English well. I didn't speak Tagalog well, but we laughed a lot. And sometimes laughter is the most universal language of all. One boy named Junjun asked me, "Tita Anna, do you miss your home?" I paused, because I didn't know how to answer. So I said, "I think I found a new one. The Philippines gave me more firsts than any country ever had. My first island hopping in Coron. My first fiesta where strangers fed me until I couldn't walk. My first Sinulog dance. My first mango shake. My first time singing karaoke to a Tagalog song I barely understood. And my first real love that didn't hurt." I used to think relationships meant pain, that men wanted something and left when it was gone. But Mateo, he stayed when I was angry, when I was quiet, when I was messy and scared and too tired to smile. He stayed. He didn't try to fix me. He just made room for me to fix myself. Sometimes I write letters to who I used to be. "Dear me, you won't believe where you'll end up. You'll lose everything you know and find things you never imagined. You'll cry so much, but you'll laugh harder. You'll fall in love again, the kind that feels like home, not a battlefield. And you'll learn that peace isn't always the absence of war. Sometimes peace is a street vendor offering you lunch even when you have no money. Peace is a man holding your hand in silence. Peace is kids calling you Tita even when you don't understand why. Peace is the Philippines." Last week, I received news. The neighborhood I grew up in back in Kharkiv was finally rebuilding. Some old friends had gone back, and they asked me, "Will you return too?" I looked around my home, Mateo's slippers near the door, photos of me and the kids I mentor, the smell of sinigang in the kitchen, and I smiled. I hadn't just found peace here. I had planted roots. To you, watching this, maybe you're running from something. Maybe you've lost your home, your love, your sense of self. Maybe you're like who I was, lost in a war, whether outside or inside. Please believe me when I say this. There is life after the pain. There is love after the loss. And sometimes, the place that heals you the most is the one you never imagined. I didn't find the Philippines. The Philippines found me. And for the first time in my life, I finally feel safe.